Good morning. This will be a video going over what we're going to go over next week in class, just in case you can't make it or if you have trouble seeing the board. First thing you're going to want to do is open up Google Sheets. So you'll go to Google Chrome, and I just have it on here. Google Chrome. Open up a tab and type Google Sheets, and it should be this first link here. You can also reference it by clicking the waffle up here and clicking Sheets. You will sign in and then just open a blank spreadsheet. For this spreadsheet, we're just going to title it Loan Calculator. So double click up top and type Loan Calculator 10761. We can exit out of this table right here. Don't need that. What we're going to do first is title each one of our columns. So we can just follow along with what I do. Column A. So in cell A1, we'll double click that and type dates. Column B, so in cell B1, type total loan amount. Let's see this. If you want to adjust how wide a cell is, you can hover in between the letters and click on these black bars that show up. I'm going to adjust that to be there. In C1, we're going to have interest accrued, and this will be for the current month we are working with. Expand that. Cell D1, this will be our total interest. So total interest accrued. Cell E1, this will be our total spent. Cell F1 will be the amounts we paid on the principal. We'll just say principal paid off. And we'll drag this. Okay. Next up in cells, from here, your computer may be zoomed in or out and you won't see these cells. You can hit Control plus or Control minus on your keyboard to zoom in or out. Or just click the slide bar here to slide left and right. In H, I, and J, these columns will have variables that we can adjust. So let's skip over G. And in H, we'll type in initial loan amount. And so well, let me get semicolons for these. It's not that big a deal. I just would like to stay consistent. Okay, in cell I, we will have our interest rate, or the APR. Track that. Lastly, we will have the monthly payments we're making. Okay, so that's each one of our columns titled. Let me track this. Next up, what we're going to do is we're going to start out with the dates. So we're going to be making monthly payments on this loan. So we're going to have the dates go up by months. It's currently November 16th. We're just going to start at the first of the month. We'll type 11/1/25 to make Google Sheets recognize this as a date. We'll type 12/1/25. Next month would be January 1st, so 1/1/26. And instead of having to type each one of these manually for however many months we need, what I'm going to do is I'm going to click and hold down on A2 and drag to A4. This gives me this blue little circle that'll copy this all the way down to as far as I need it. I'm going to go out to 50 years from now, or 600 months. So since we started on line 2, we'll end on line 602. Here we go, and that's 50 years from now. So again, you just click this, drag down, and click the blue circle and drag that all the way to line 202 or 602. For our initial loan amount, let's just say we have a loan of $200,000, maybe a home loan. What I want is this will be referenced in these over here, so I need this to go all the way down to line 600. We're going to do this in a very specific way. So H2, I typed in 2000. In H3, I'm going to click this cell, type equals, and then click on H2 and hit enter. Then I'm going to click on cell H3. Be careful not to click H2 and drag this all the way down to line 602. And what this will do is create a reference. So every single cell here just references the previous cell or copies the value from the previous cell. That way we can change this amounts. If I wanted to change it 300,000 or 30,000, everything below it changes. Okay, so we'll change this back to 200,000. For our interest rate, let's see, we'll just assume 6%, so 0.06. We're going to do the same thing. In cell I2, we type 0.06. In cell I3, we're going to type equals and click on I2. You can also just manually type I2, that also works. From here, we're not going to autofill. I think you can for this one. We're going to use a different trick. I'm going to click on cell I3, and I'm just going to double click this blue circle, and that will drag it as far down as this H column goes. The same thing for monthly payments. Let's just say we're making payments of $1,250. So J2, 1,250. J3, we're going to type equals J2. And then we're going to click on J3 and double click this circle right here. And do be careful with autofill. I think it's fine for these, but when we're doing these right here, it will be a little bit different. So these are the variables that we can change depending on what kind of loan we're looking at. Let's get to the calculator part. So our total loan amounts, this will start out equal to whatever the initial loan amount is. So in cell B2, we'll just type equals H2. Don't autofill just yet. So we take out the loan November 1st. And what's going to happen is the next month, December 1st, we're going to accrue some interest on this loan. We're also going to make a payment of $1,250. So in this cell, in cell B3, we're going to type equals. That's going to be whatever the previous loan amount was, so equals B2. We're going to hit on the keyboard Shift, then the number 8 to get the multiplication symbol, and then Shift 9 to open a parentheses. So it's going to be times 1 plus, we're going to click I2, or the interest rate, divided by 12. Then hit Shift 0 on your keyboard to close that parentheses. What this does is this takes your interest rate and divides it by 12, so it gives you the monthly amounts. And then this 1 plus is actually what we were referencing in class the other day, where if we want the total amounts after we put interest on something, we just do 1 plus whatever that rate is. And so looks like we accrued $1,000 in interest, but we're not quite done with the formula yet. So if you hit enter, you can double click back into this. And after we accrue interest, we're going to make a payment. So we're going to do minus J2. And so this is our amounts after 1 month has passed. We accrued some interest and then we made a payment. And so now our total loan amount is $199,750. So this, we can click on B3 and double click this circle, and it will go all the way down. and it goes down to 50 years. We actually don't need 50 years. We've got some crazy stuff going on with negative numbers. I just did that because sometimes loans will take a while to pay off. So let's see. This loan right here looks like we make our last payments in 2052, so roughly 27 years from now. And so when we go from positive to negative, that's when we make our last payment. So let's fill out these other columns. In our interest accrued column, and this is just going to be equal to however much the total loan is worth. Type Shift 8 to multiply. We're going to multiply it by our interest rate divided by 12. So the total amount of the loan times the interest rates, that's our loan amount, our current interest amount. So this first month we accrued $1,000. This one right here does have the formula with the references. We can double click this. Second month we got slightly less interest. Third month, fourth month, fifth month. And as we pay more and more off of the principal of this loan, we end up paying less and less in interest. For your total interest, this is going to, in D2, we're going to type equals C2. Don't fill out a formula just yet. This is going to be a sum. We're going to type in D3 equals D2 plus C3. So the previous total plus however much interest we're earning in said month. Then we can click on D3, double click, and that will drag all the way down. This cell or this column adds up our interest every single month, and it tells us, hey, after you pay off the loan, it's at 2052, you paid what's that? $203,360 in interest, which is actually more than the initial payment amount. So you're paying more than double however much that house is worth. Okay, total spent here. Well, for the first day or first month, we just took out the loan. We had to make a payment. So total spent and principal paid off are 0. So E2 and F2, we're going to type 0. And E3, what's going to happen here is we're going to make one payment of $2,000 or $1,250. This is going to equal J2. In cell E4, we're going to make a payment of $1,250 again. This is going to be equal to E3 plus J2. Or sorry, J3. E3 plus J3. All right, and this, we can double click on cell E4, that little blue circle, and this just adds up how many payments we make. So 1,250, 2,500, 3,750, and so on. For column F, F3, we're going to type equals. So the amount we paid off on the principal should be the previous total minus the current total. So in this first payment, we only paid $250 off the principal. And we can double click the blue circle in the bottom right of this. It looks like as we pay more off the principal of the loan, the amount we pay towards that total principal goes up and the amount we pay towards interest goes down. All right. And so we are finished with the calculator. Let's go down to where we pay this off. So we pay this off 27 years. This is our last payment. Looks like we paid $203,000 in interest. It was a $200,000 house. Why is this going up like that? Hold up our formula. No, there we go. Okay. So yeah, we paid $403,000 in total on a $200,000 loan. And this right here, so on the last payment, it almost all went to just the principal. So let's change these amounts real quick and just sort of contextualize that. Let's say if we had this same loan, same interest rate, but we made payments of, we'll double it, $2,500 every month. What's going to happen is we'll pay this off much, much, much faster. As you can see, we're paying a bigger chunk of the principal off on that first month and second month and so on. And so with this same house and loan, we're paying it off in 2034, so only 9 years, so less than a third of the time. And we only paid $50,000 in interest. However, that is a much, much bigger payment and commitment to make. All right, that is it for this video.